Hey everyone! So this video is pretty different than a lot of the other content I upload here, but something happened the other day that I just have not been able to stop thinking about, and not in a good way. And I just saw this as an opportunity to educate people and hopefully reach an audience that really needs to hear this. So something happened the other day at my board and train take-home lesson, and I feel like it's too important not to talk about. So she came to me with reactivity, and we were working near a dog park to help my client build up confidence, handling her around other dogs, and honestly kind of to show off the progress that she's made because it was amazing. And she was not reactive, she was very calm, she was very attentive to her owner. And I did a lot of this using thoughtful corrections, lots of rewards, and did take a balanced approach. But while we were there, another trainer was working with a dog using an e-collar, something that I fully support when used responsibly. However, I could immediately tell that this trainer was using a very high level of stimulation, and I knew this because every time they applied stim, the dog would yelp in pain. And I get that there are trainers who work with higher stim levels, and in some extreme cases that can be necessary, and I've seen these trainers have a lot of success doing just that. But here is my stance. If a dog is yelping from the collar, that should be rare and a last resort scenario and not a standard correction. And here's what really got to me. I caught a moment on video where the correction was not only at that unnecessarily high level, it was also applied at the completely wrong time. The dog was in a perfect heel, walking calmly past us, and still got hit with stim correction. I believe it came a couple seconds after the dog had veered its eyes toward me and the dog I was working with, but other than that, I didn't see the moment where that correction was necessary. And he was not growling, he was not lunging, he was just walking. So this to me was no longer about behavior modification. This was pure confusion for the dog. And it honestly was hard for me to stand by my client who I had just boasted about the e-collar to, and then we go and we see this. And this is exactly why e-collars get such a bad reputation. It is not the tool, it's the misuse of the tool. A bad correction, poor timing, or handing the remote to an owner who isn't nearly ready to use that tool properly is going to create fear, stress, and can worsen behaviors like reactivity and aggression. So I trained Maddie, my reactive board and train, on an e-collar, never going above a level 10 out of 100, including around other dogs, including when she was reacting. There were no yelps, there was no fearful scurrying away from the dog. It was just purely to get her focus back to me. And at the end of the lesson, her owner was so confident that we didn't even need to use the e-collar. We just switched to leash pressure and she saved herself $250. So that's what I call progress done right. If you're going to use tools like an e-collar, especially with a reactive or aggressive dog, you need to know exactly what you're doing. Timing is everything. Pressure is everything. Using that stimulation at that time is everything. The owner needs to be fully educated before they even take the remote in their hands. So what I saw was not just poor timing, it was irresponsible training on that trainer's part. And it's how good tools get bad reputations and how dogs that are already stressed and fearful and reactive end up worse than they were before. E-collars, when used correctly, can be life-changing for the dog. They can be amazing, but there is a right and a wrong way to do it. And I will always speak up when I see something that could harm a dog or an owner's trust in training. So if you want to see the clip that I'm talking about, I will walk you through it, slow it down, explain exactly what went wrong, because education matters when it comes to things like this, and we need to make training clearer, kinder, and more effective for both dogs and owners. So with that, here's the video. So here's one of the videos I was able to get. And I don't know what the dog is being corrected for. One more time, they look with the handler and they get zapped for it. They don't break out of the heel, they don't react. They engage with their handler when they're passing by a trigger and zap. That to me is an incredibly unfair and untimely correction. If she's correcting the dog for looking away, which seems to be what they were doing, it's too late. And I know right now it's slowed down. It's too late. It's not worth this strong of a correction. So one more time in real speed, and I want you to listen at the end. Okay. Let's chat about this. So at the end of the clip, you'll hear the owner say sorry to the dog, followed by the trainer saying, it's okay, it's okay. Let's break that down. First off, the owner apologizing is, to me, a huge red flag. Not because the dog understands the word sorry, because they don't, but because it tells me that the owner knows that they messed up. And more importantly, it shows that they aren't confident enough in their handling skills to be holding that e-collar remote, especially while using such a high level of stimulation and such a high correction level. And listen, I don't know the full backstory. I don't know this dog, the owner, or the trainer. But what I do know is bad training when I see it. Here we have a reactive dog standing outside a very busy dog park on a Saturday morning, getting zapped by the person they're supposed to trust the most for doing the right thing. I don't know what you saw, but that's what I saw. The dog walked calmly past the dogs I was with without reacting. That's a win. That's a behavior that should be rewarded, not punished. And if the owner was trying to correct the dog for simply not looking ahead, which I think is what they were trying to do, the timing was still wrong because the dog had already self-corrected and was looking forward again. So now the dog is left confused, wondering why they're being punished for doing exactly what was expected of them. And the moment the owner apologized just told me everything. The moment I heard that, I could tell that they knew it was a mistake. And that's exactly why they should not have been holding that remote. In a situation this sensitive, the trainer should have been handling the corrections, or at the very least, had the owner using a non-stim cue, like the beep function, or even just raising their hand and signaling when they would correct, so that the trainer could fine-tune their timing before handing over that level of control. So here's another clip where the roles were reversed and Maddie circled around the dog, and you'll see another situation where this dog got pinged for something that they should not have. So here we go.
She's proof that there is hope on the other side.
There. So I just want to slow this down. So Maddie's walking by. The dog scans his environment. Boom. High level correction. And the advice that the trainer offers, lower the level a little bit. Scans environment. Boom. All right. Now let's talk about the second clip, because this one really got to me. So here's what I see. I see a reactive dog sitting in a submissive, calm position, scanning their environment, which is completely normal behavior for any dog. But instead of being rewarded for calmness or gently redirected off of the scanning, this dog gets absolutely fried with an incredibly high level correction just for looking around. Now, maybe this dog is seriously aggressive. Maybe there's a real safety risk here and his life is on the line. But even if that's the case, this correction is not the solution. In fact, it was downright unfair. A dog scanning their environment is not bad behavior. It is instinct. They're checking for potential threats, especially if fear is driving their reactivity. And what's worse is that if this dog was afraid, this kind of correction does not help. It makes the fear worse. You're telling the dog you're not even allowed to look around at what scares you. And if you do, you'll get punished. That's not training. That's suppression. And suppression without understanding creates more fear, more reactivity, and sometimes even aggression. If the dog was starting to escalate while scanning, sure, let's give a correction for that or use some leash pressure to reorient them back to you. But to use this extreme level of punishment for a simple glance, that's not balanced training, that's abuse. And here's the worst part. The owner probably believes this is helping. They were told this would fix the reactivity. But what I see is a dog that's either going to completely shut down or come back even more reactive and more aggressive. And eventually, when this approach backfires, the owners are going to say, that damn e-collar ruined my dog. But it was not the collar, it was bad training, bad coaching. One of my favorite dog trainers always says, no training is better than bad training, and that was bad training. This dog would have been better off if they had done nothing at all. So this isn't like me. I really don't like calling out other trainers, but I can't stay quiet when I see something this damaging happening. And training tools like the e-collar can be life-changing when used responsibly. But in the wrong hands, they can destroy trust and increase fear and make problems way worse. And that's exactly what I saw here. Was the dog reacting? Not that day. Nope, they were far too shut down and afraid to react, which is not the goal. And again, this isn't about hating on trainers who use high-level corrections, because I've seen it work. It is about holding people accountable for using those methods responsibly. That owner was not ready. That dog was not ready for that environment, and that's on the trainer. And if the trainer wanted to use these methods, she should have been the one holding the remote. She should have been the one delivering these corrections, and she should have given a damn good explanation about why she's giving these corrections and exactly what time and exactly what for. But at the end of the day, this isn't just about technique, it's about ethics, and this to me was not an ethical training session for this dog. And if we're not putting the dog's well-being first, what are we even doing? How are we even calling ourselves dog trainers? How are we even saying we want to help the dog? So anyway, if you are curious about e-collar training done right, or you've had bad experiences like this and want to understand the difference, drop a comment, hit like, and subscribe. Let's have more conversations about how to train responsibly, effectively, and with absolute respect for the dogs that we love so much. If you don't follow us on socials, at AMD Dog Training, A Million Dreams Dog Training on Facebook, you can always visit our website, amddogs.com, to book today. I will link that below. Have a great day, and please respect your dogs.